Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone in today's class for the first elementary grade. Our textbook is Week 1 and today inshallah we will cover Unit 2, Days and Weather Phonics on page 17. This lesson will be presented by me, teacher Mazen Harbi, and the sign language by Mr. Fawaz Al-Agil. So let's begin. Quick revision in our last lesson. In our last lesson, we had practice 4 important letters. And not only we practicing these letters, but also we memorize words with these letters. So the first word we learn from this letter is the word wolf. Wolf, say after me, wolf. Wolf is an animal, and wolf is a word that starts with letter W. Also, another word that has the another letter we did later on practice on, which is letter X. So this word ends with letter X, which is the word fox. Fox, say after me, fox. And after this, we had talked about another word, or the third word that starts with our letter, which is the letter Z. So here, say after me, zebra, zebra, zebra. Very good. And the last letter we did practice on was the letter Y. And we have a word which is yard. Yard. Say after me, yard. Very good. So all of these words that has the specific letters we're going to practice, which is letter W, Y, X, and Z. So we said that when we want to memorize letters, when we want to know more about letters, it is important that we know words with each of these letters. So now let's listen one more time to these words, and when I say them, I would like you to repeat them after me. So the first one is wolf, wolf, fox, fox, zebra, zebra, yard, yard. Very well. So here, as we can see, the first 3 words are words for animals. And the last one is a yard, where usually we can have these animals in a yard. So after we listen to the letters, after we memorize and practice the words with each of these letters, then we moved on to the second exercise, which is copying and tracing. We said that it's not only important that we know these letters and we memorize word for these letters, but it is also important that we know how to write down these letters. And how do we write these letters? We do write these letters by copying, by first tracing these letters and copying them. So let's practice one more time to this tracing and also copying of these 4 letters. So last lesson we did start by tracing the letter W. And what we did is that we came here and the first exercise and we traced the letter W like this. And then after we finished tracing the letter W, we did copy it and write it on our own. And we said that it is important that we do tracing and also if you want to know how to write these letters, it is important that we do trace them if we want to write them on our own. So here we finished tracing. Now it is time that we do the copying and writing on our own. So here you go. This is about the first letter, which is letter W. As we said, it is important that we know first how to trace So when we know how to trace, later we can know how to copy these letters and how we write them on our own. So now let's do trace the second letter. The second letter we have, which is the letter X. And we read a word that ends with letter X, which is the word fox. Fox, which is an animal. So here you go. This is how we did last time, trace the letter X. And then we said that when we trace any type of letter or any letter, we can later on, we can copy it and write it on our own without tracing. So as you can see here, this is how we do the tracing. And after this, we can copy the letter and write it on our own. So it is important that you practice tracing. To practice tracing, which means will help you and will improve the way you write the letters. It is always important that we do tracing. So after this, we did trace the third letter, which is letter Y. So this is how we did trace letter Y. We make a shape like this, and then we draw a line like this. This is how we shape letter Y. This is how we trace letter Y. It will help us to improve our writing of this letter. So like this. So this is how we do trace the letter Y. We draw a long line like this, and we move on to write the next part. So as we can see here, we draw a line like this, and we move on to the next part. So this is how we trace letter Y. Y, that starts with the word yard. Yard. So we know yard. We do have yard in our home, and we know what do you mean by backyard and front yard. So this is how we trace and copy the letter Y. This is how we trace and copy letter Y. So try it. It is important that we trace, especially those letters that we find difficulty with. And the last letter we did trace is letter Z. Letter Z. So what we did, we traced the letter so we can know how to later copy it and write it on our own. So we can later know how to copy it and write it on our own. So we said Z from the word zebra, an animal which lives in the zoo. So here we have two words that starts with Z. Zebra and the zoo. Zebra and the zoo. So this is how we trace these letters and also how we can copy them and writing them on our own. So don't forget that you should practice tracing, and also you should write them and copy them on our own. Now let's get to know our objectives in today's lesson. At the end of this lesson, we hope that you will be able to recognize and produce the sound of the English alphabet, and also to learn how to count from 10 to 100 in tens. So let's begin by asking you to open your books on page 17. I'd like you please to open your books on page 17. Now on page 17 we do have this exercise where what we're going to do here is that here we have 4 words that are missing letters, and what you're going to do, we're going to listen to each one of them, and then we're going to decide what is the letter that is missing. So here we're going to listen to the first word, and then we're going to decide what we should write with the first word. Is it the letter W, or the letter X, or the letter Y, or the letter Z? And after this, we'll take this letter and write it or fill it here in the blank. So let's start listening to all of these 4 words, and then after this we're going to decide what is the letter we should write these words with. So let's start with the first one. The first one is a word that is missing the first letter, and it represents this picture. So what do you think? What is this word? Let's listen to it and then we will decide. The first word is wolf. Wolf. Number 1 is wolf. So the word wolf. What do you think? What we should write wolf with? We should start it with W, X, Y, or Z. Very good. We should write or put W in the beginning. Wolf. Now let's listen to the second word. The second word still missing a letter at the end of this word, and it represents this picture. So what do you think the second word is? Let's listen and then we will decide. Number 2 is fox. Fox. Number 2 is fox. So what do you think? Fox. What is the letter we should write it here? Is it X, Y, or Z? Of course, it is letter X. Fox. Now let us move on to number 3. Number 3 here, let's listen to the word yard. Yard. So number 3 is a yard. So what do you think? Yard. What is the letter we should fill it in here in the third one? Yard. Very good. It is letter Y. Yard. Now this will leave us with the last word, which is the word zebra. Zebra. Now zebra starts with the letter Z. So here you go. So this is how we can answer these words. These are the letters that we should fill in each of these words with. Now let us move on to the other exercise where we're going to listen, write, and chant. So here we have, as you can see, we have tens. What do you mean by tens? Is 10 pieces. As you can see here, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So here we have 10 pieces. So this is 10, and how we should write 10? We should write 10 by adding a 0. This is number 10. Say after me. 10. Now, let's have a look at this one, or at this picture. How much is, or how many pieces do we have here in this picture? We know that each one of them represent 1 10. So here we have 10, here we have another 10. So what is that number? This number is 20. 20, say after me, 20. So we have 10. If we have 2, then we would say 20. Now let's see the other picture. So here we have 10, and here we have 10, and here we have 10. So if we have 3 of these, what do you think the number is? The number is 30. 30, say after me, 30. So here we have 10, here we have 20, and here we have 30. Now let us move on for the next one. So here we have 4 of these 10s. So what do you think? What is the number? Well, the number is that here we have 40 pieces. Here we have 40 pieces. So here we have 10, 20, 30, and 40. 40 pieces. Now let us move on for the next one. Here we have 5 pieces. So what is the number? Here we have 5 of those 10s. What is the number? What can we say here? Here we can say we have 50 pieces. Here we have 50 pieces. Count with me. Here is 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Now let's move on to the next one. So here we have 6 of these tens. So what do we call the number? We call the number 60. Number 60. So let's count them. Here we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. Now let us move on for the next one. Here, as you can see, we do have 7 of these tens. So what do you think the number is? Well, the number is that we have 70. We have 70. Let's count them. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. Next, here we have 8 pieces. So 8 of these tens is number 80. 80. And then here we have 9 of these tens. So the number is 90. 90. And now we have 10 of these tens. So what do you think the number is? The number is 100. 100. Let's count them. Here we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Now, it is important that at the end of this lesson, you can make the sound and write the letters of W, X, Y, and Z, and also to count from number 10 to number 100. So now we have reached the end of our lesson. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.